Welcome back to the Master of Nothing podcast. I'm your host, Emily, and we are embracing imperfection one episode at a time. So let's begin. Hi, friends. How are you? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever applies to you whenever you're listening. Guys, it is 2026. Officially. As of this morning, it is 2026. And for the first time probably ever, I'm not terrified of the new year. I'm still scared of it because, I don't like change. I don't like the end of things, and I don't like the beginning of things, and New Year's is simultaneously both of those things. But for the first time kind of ever, I'm at peace with the fact that another year has passed, and I'm also excited for 2025 to be done, because let me just say, I think for a lot of people, but for me, this year fucking sucked. So I'm glad that we made it here. I have a lot of shit that I want to talk about today. So happy New Year's, friends. If you're listening today, it's January 1st. I want to give you a big pat on the back. Not because you've decided that this is the year that you run a marathon, or lose 20 pounds, or cut out sugar completely, or somehow develop the discipline of a Navy SEAL, but because you survived your social media feeds for the last week and a half, since Christmas. And let's be honest, New Year's Eve is like the Super Bowl of unrealistic expectations. Suddenly, all of your friends become philosophers, productivity coaches, fitness influencers, everything all at once. Not only your friends, but everybody else that you also follow on Instagram. And then this morning, half the population woke up thinking that they're going to completely change their lives, become an entirely different person, and revolutionize their life. And the other half of the population can't find their gym shoes. Also, with that, if December felt like a really weird mix of nostalgia, exhaustion, and an influx of cookies, you're in good company. We all feel the same shit. So we're going to kind of talk about two different things today. The first thing we're going to talk about is how to actually learn from our year, how to learn from what happened in 2025 to change/grow in the new year in a way that honors who you actually are and who you want to be, and not just who Instagram thinks you should be. We're going to talk a lot about reflection without self-blame, how to grow without it stemming from self-hatred, and how to make improvements in your life without a full meltdown. And we're also going to talk about, this is going to kind of be like the anti-resolution episode, which we talk about every year. I want to talk about how in 2026 you can build a life that you don't feel like you need to escape from. And no, that doesn't mean that I'm anti-goals or that I'm anti-intent. I don't even know. It doesn't mean that I'm against the premise of what New Year's means. It just means that I'm against all the bullshit that comes around from this time of year. So those are the two things that we're going to kind of talk about this episode, if that works for y'all. So first of all, I want to remind everybody, I am very understanding of the fact that different advice and different things are going to be applicable for different people. Take what you can take from this episode, take it with a grain of salt, but if something doesn't suit you, if something doesn't fit you, you don't have to take it. This is just my general suggestion. And as always, anytime that I post an episode of the podcast, it's more so something that I need to hear. Is also in turn I want to tell you guys it, and I want that to be a conversation that started. But a lot of it is shit that I need to hear, and that, I'm going to make the episode, I'm going to edit it, I'm going to listen to it once it's posted because I need to hear it, and it sometimes is really helpful for me to hear myself say it. So we are here to try and help build sustainable, science-backed, and actually doable things in your life. And kind of the key message for this first half of the episode is going to be in our brains. If you title something as a reset, there's a sense of panic that comes with it. If you title it as a reflection, there's normally progress that comes from it. People hit December or beginning of January, but people hit December and suddenly think that they need a brand new identity starting January 1st. But science says the opposite and has always said the opposite. So having a reflection at the end of the year going into the beginning of the year can be really beneficial. A yearly reflection, or reflections in general, not resolutions, but reflections, can help improve your long-term behavioral changes, emotional regulations, your success in your goals, and also your habit consistency. And it does these because reflection helps you understand your patterns. It doesn't just slap a goal on top of them it's a weird motivational band-aid. Resolutions are kind of trying to fix your phone screen that you broke with Scotch tape. It's technically a solution, but you're going to be taking your phone into a shop in a couple days anyways, or just trying to get a whole new phone. So if you don't understand what derailed you this year or the year before or the year before that, this upcoming year isn't magically going to be different. Reflection is how you prevent that same problem different year thing that's been going on for everybody. A lot of people also tend to avoid doing reflections because they think that it means making a really long list of all the things that you fucked up and failed at this year. that's not a reflection. That's simply like a weird self-interrogation that is going to make you doom spiral and make you feel worse about yourself. And that like shame cycle shuts down the learning centers in your brain. Like your amygdala is going to fire, your cortisol spikes, and then your brain gets into a weird defensive mode. So obviously you're not going to be able to make any changes if your interpretation of a reflection is just, here's the list of all the things that I suck at. You didn't fail this year. You navigated what you could with the tools, the energy, and the capacity that you had. You grew in ways that you probably didn't even notice, and you showed up when it didn't look pretty. Reflection without shame allows you to see your year clearly and get kind of a full picture of it. It also can help remove that filter of like, I should have done more. I could have done more. I wish I had done more. I wish I had done things differently, whatever. So the easiest way that I do my like annual reflections, whatever, is by asking myself kind of very similar questions every single year and taking a look back at it. So if you want, I'll read you through some of the questions and prompts that I like give myself. Feel free to write them down, pause after each one, think about it, journal about it. Also, side note, if you're watching on YouTube, I'll show you guys my new journal, but I went and bought my new journal yesterday for the new, no, not yesterday, a couple days ago for the new year. Look how stunning of a color it is. I love her. But anyways, if that's what you want to do, if you're wanting to journal about it, if you're wanting whatever, write it down in the notes of your phone, whatever that looks like. Either pause between each question or write them down, reflect on it later. But first thing that I always ask myself are what routines actually supported my mental and physical health this year. Maybe it was walks, maybe it was going to bed earlier, maybe it was stretching once a week. Celebrate those things because they are data that is going to help you in the upcoming year. And they don't have to be these massive things. Like if you're looking back at your year and you're like, well, I didn't work out as consistently as I wanted to, but I still worked out once or twice a week, or I worked out 6 times a month, or I went for a walk every other day, whatever those look like. Anything that you can say, this positively benefited both my mental and physical health, or either or, write those down. Write what was helpful, and you can also write what was helpful about them. Maybe for your walks, yes, they improve your physical health because you're getting your steps in, and maybe you're getting outside, or you're going to the gym, or either way, you're working on your cardiovascular health. Like, that's good for your physical health, and maybe for your mental health. They were really clarifying at the end of a work day, or you went in the middle of the day, or you went first thing in the morning to set your mind right. Write all of those things down. Second question that I always ask myself is which routines kept collapsing and why? Now, this prompt is not about guilt. It's about logistics. I'm not sitting here and asking you to make yourself feel guilty about why these things kept failing. Maybe the plan required too much time. Maybe you were overexerting yourself and you had these grandiose plans that simply don't fit into the constraints of your life on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. Maybe they require too much willpower. Did you go from 0 to 100 and you haven't built yourself up to having that amount of willpower to follow through with that routine? Write that down. Did you need too much perfection for it? Were you letting yourself give up or giving up on yourself when you missed one day because perfection over anything? Or maybe there wasn't enough flexibility in your plan. Life changes. Shit happens in our day-to-day life, and it's important to remember that when you're making these intentions and plans. Write all those things down. Fitness and health routines often break when they're incompatible with our real lives, not when you're incompatible with them, if that makes sense. Prompt 3, what seasons were you at your best and what was going on then? Did you have lower stress? Were you sleeping better? Was your schedule lighter day to day? Was there more sunlight out and more social support? Identify patterns so that you know what conditions help you thrive. This one's always interesting for me to see because it's pretty consistent throughout the years that I do significantly better in spring and summer when the sun is up and school's a little quieter or work's quieter or whatever that may look like. So that's always interesting to see the consistency in that. Number 4, what habits did you force yourself to try that you secretly hated? If you hated running, guess what? You are allowed to stop pretending that you're a runner. Reflection is where you get honest with yourself. I try and be a runner every single year. Every time like April hits and the snow starts melting and I start getting like a little bit less depressed and sad, I convince myself that I'm magically going to become like a marathon runner. Don't get me wrong. If I really, really wanted to, I could maybe do it. But I don't really want to. I don't do it because I'm like, oh, I desperately want to become a runner. I do it because I think that I should want to become a runner, you know? And I hate running. I fucking hate running. Every year I'm reminded that I hate running, and then I give up, and then I do the same thing every fucking April. And number 5, what did you learn about your mind, body, and energy this year? Fitness isn't only about willpower. There is a little bit of it that's about willpower, but most of it is about self-awareness. So those are kind of my 5 big ones. Obviously I do some other smaller things, but those are kind of the 5 big questions that I ask myself every year and that I make note of, because essentially what you're doing when you do this reflection is like you're kind of doing like a life audit of where am I at every single one of like every single little point in my life, you know what I mean? So late December into early January is kind of your peak like reset detox challenge season. And we're sold these on Instagram, we're sold these on TikTok, we're sold these wherever you fucking turn. These programs love to sell shame disguised as motivation, extremes disguised as discipline, and crash goals designed as transformations, which are not realistic. But the reality of these is that sudden drastic changes rarely last in our lives. And that's not because we're not doing them well enough. That's because our bodies are not designed to accommodate those sudden drastic changes. Moderate, consistent habits will always, almost always, outperform extreme challenges. And the body adapts best to progressive loading, not chaos. The stress and deprivation of this time of year often increase your cravings, anxiety, and kind of like rebound behavior to our old actions and behaviors and habits. And like, don't get me wrong, a New Year reset always sounds really, really enticing and like empowering, but 9 times out of 10, it's going to lead to burnout by February. You're constantly going to be in that starting over cycle, a lot of self-blame, inconsistent habits, and very much that like all or nothing cycle that we get stuck in. Resetting tends to be a trap. Reflection can be a helpful strategy. If you want this year to feel different, which is acceptable, like don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have any goals for 2026 and that you shouldn't do any resolutions or whatever. I have goals for 2026. I set new intentions every year. I set new goals for myself for the year. That's normal. But trying to do these like drastic, radical changes are never the best idea. So if you want this year to feel different, here's some things that can really work. Number 1 is like tiny little habit upgrades. Not new personalities, not new identities, just small shifts in our life that lead us closer to being the person that we want to be. Number 2 is flexible routines. If your routine dies the moment that you're sick, busy, or stressed, it wasn't a sustainable routine to begin with. Number 3 is strength training with progressive overload. I could go on and on about strength training and the benefits that it has mentally, physically, emotionally, whatever. The most effective long-term fitness habit is strength training. Doesn't need to be all or nothing. Doesn't need to be super extreme. It just needs to be consistent little wins. Again, I could go on for days and days and days about the benefits of strength training beyond just like the fact that you're actually getting stronger and it's working out and it's healthy. Our bodies, like your bone density, all of these things that are so positively impacted by strength training, it's so important. It's so important. And if anything, if that like, you know, that's always going to be my number 1 thing for people is like, if you want to feel like a completely different person by the end of the year and make one small habit change, start strength training. Number 4, gentle nutrition principles, more whole foods, balanced meals, focus on your hydration, not restriction. Number 5 is a truth over trends mindset, especially kind of in December, January, like in the next couple months here. When the fitness industry is really, really loud and messy, try to remind yourself of what science says and what your body is telling you. As we head into the new year, I really want you guys to sit with this truth. You are allowed to grow without punishing your past self. You are allowed to improve without declaring that everything you did this past year was wrong. You can take what worked, take what didn't, and move forward without guilt, without shame, and without burning everything down just because the calendar flipped over to a new year. And focus on reflecting and not resetting this year. Choose one habit that you want to carry forward, not 10. One habit done consistently beats a dozen abandoned by January 7th. Adjust the things that didn't work instead of scrapping them. Modify this year. Don't throw away. Something that's really helpful for me is creating like a minimum baseline plan for 2026. You don't need a resolution, but if you can set a baseline that you can hit even on your tired, stressed, and messy days, that's perfect. Creating that minimum baseline of like, eat one balanced meal, drink one full water bottle, walk for 5 minutes or stretch for 5 minutes, shower and do skincare, like creating that baseline for even if you're having like a really fucking rough day or a really bad week, if you can hit that baseline, you are going to feel better about yourself. And guys, please remember that your growth is cumulative, not dramatic. Your entire year was built from teeny tiny little decisions, and this next year will be too. So that's kind of the first half of the episode where we're talking about the reflection and the resets, whatever. Now we're getting into Emily's anti-resolution shit talk that I have to do every year. I'm convinced that if I don't shit talk 75 hard at least once a year, I will like shrivel away into a pile of dust. So, and remember, like I said in the beginning of the episode, I am not anti-goal. I am anti all the bullshit that the fitness and wellness industry tries to sell you. Anti-extremes and anti-throwing yourself into a lifestyle that's going to last 11 days and then you're going to fail and feel really bad about yourself for the rest of the year. If you've broken resolutions in the past, remember, it's not because you're weak. It's because your brain, again, literally hates sudden drastic changes. Neuroscience 101. Your brain craves routine because routine conserves energy. Your January 1st self, she is trying to suddenly wake up at 5 a.m. when normally you sleep into 11, meal prep 67 containers of chicken when you're only going to eat 2 of them, throw the rest out, work out for 2 hours a day even though you haven't picked up your gym shoes since high school, drink a gallon of water when all you drink is Diet Coke, and transform into a productivity robot. And your brain, of course, is going to be like, oh, absolutely not. Like, of fucking course not. I'm not doing that. This is like a weird hostile takeover. And that's why 80 to 90% of resolutions collapse by mid-February, if that. The amount of people that even make it to mid-February, I'm like, I'm impressed that you made it that far with the shit that you set. It's not you. I mean, it's a little bit you, but also it's biology. So stop assuming that you're the one that's failing and start assuming that your approach is the problem. January is the one time a year where we all think we're going to magically wake up and crave kale, ice baths, and 10-mile runs. Meanwhile, December 28th you was eating cookies for breakfast and watching Netflix in pajamas and hadn't seen the sunlight since December 23rd. The fresh start effect is real. Like, it is a thing that your brain craves. Your brain likes symbolic beginnings, but it becomes a trap when you convince yourself that the calendar has changed, so you must completely change as well. But guess what? You brought the same brain, the same hormones, the same habits, and the same life responsibilities into January that you had last week. If you want sustainable health and fitness and wellness, it's not about creating a brand new version of yourself. It's about improving the environment that you currently live in. So let's talk fitness first, because this is where people panic the most in January, shockingly. A life you don't want to escape from does not require 75 hard, fuck 75 hard, a 6-day-a-week gym commitment, gym memberships that you use twice and then abandon, meal plans that take 12 hours a week, and thinking your worth is tied to how aggressively you change your body in the new year. A sustainable fitness life does, however, require movement that doesn't feel like punishment. We talk about this a lot. Your movement should not feel like it's something that you are paying a debt to. Strength training that you can grow into, not suffer through. Walking, because it is criminally underrated, even though we're in the peak of like, everybody needs their 10,000 steps a day, blah, 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 and like the 10K steps propaganda is everywhere. Steps are still criminally underrated. People tragically underestimate the capability and the possibility of changing your mind and body with going for a fucking walk. Food choices that are based on energy and not shame, and a routine that fits your actual life schedule and not this weird fantasy schedule that we always envision for ourselves. If your plan only works on days where you feel perfect and motivated and super well rested, it's a bad plan. Period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's a bad fucking plan. Resolutions focus on what you want to do. Identity-based habits focus on who you're becoming. And if anything, that's the most important part. For example, if your resolution is, I'm going to go to the gym 6 days a week. I've never gone to the gym consistently. I haven't worked out since high school. I don't go for runs. I don't go for walks. I'm going to go to the gym 6 days a week. That would be the resolution. The identity-based approach would be, I'm going to become somebody who moves consistently. Because even like that slight little shift, and don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean that you can't work out 6 days a week. If that's really what your goal is and that's what you're going to focus your intentions to, but just like the difference in that wording, the wording of like, I'm going to work out 6 days a week. Okay, well, if, February 23rd comes around and I am deathly ill and I can't get out of bed, so I miss my 6th workout of the week, that's it. I fail. I fuck up. I have to give up. I have to, because I failed. So when December 31st of 2026 rolls around and I can say, well, I didn't accomplish my resolution because I missed on February 23rd because I was sick. You see how fucked up that is? But if you use the approach of I'm going to become, or I'm becoming somebody who moves consistently, when I get sick on February 23rd, I can still look at myself and say, okay, but I worked out 4 other times this week, and tomorrow morning, if I'm feeling better, I can go for a walk, or I can do some yoga or some stretching. And do you see how much it shifts, like which one of those survives a really stressful week, which one of those also makes more sense, like scientifically, on how to best approach that situation? Studies show that habits stick better when they're tied to your identity, because your brain absolutely hates actions that contradicts how it sees itself or how you see yourself. So if you see yourself as the person who always starts strong and then quits, you're going to behave accordingly to that. Change the identity and the action will follow. I think it's also important to realize that you have to stop setting goals based on a version of yourself that doesn't exist yet. Don't plan for future you who has unlimited motivation. Don't plan for future you who has an absolutely perfect sleep schedule and sleeps 9 hours a night. Future you who suddenly loves burpees like a fucking psycho. Future you who has no stress, no kids, no deadlines. Plan for the you that actually exists in this very moment. What version of you exists right now, and how can you plan accordingly to that? What's one habit that would genuinely make your life easier? What's one type of movement that feels really good in your body and not somebody else's body? I personally fucking hate Pilates. I've tried, don't get me wrong, I've tried. It's just not my favorite. It's not my favorite thing. Maybe one day I'll come to love it. Maybe it's my ADHD brain and I don't like the million other people. I don't know. I don't like Pilates. Everybody else loves Pilates. One of my best friends, fucking Pilates princess to the max. And she's a badass for it. I'm not going to plan my workouts or my movement for the year as Pilates because it feels good in her body. I don't give a shit. If it doesn't feel good for me, I'm not doing it. Think of what goals you would choose if nobody else could see your progress. What are things that you want to do solely for you that have absolutely no ties to a single other person? And how can you make your routine flexible instead of fragile? Fragile routines break. We see it all the time. Again, if your plan or your routine is solely depends entirely on you having an absolutely perfect day 365 days a year, it's a bad plan. Flexible routines will bend with you. They'll bend with your life constraints. They'll bend with your schedule, whatever that looks like. Again, we're going back to fitness. A lot of this episode is about fitness, as it will be. If your approach to fitness is, I have to go hard or it doesn't count. If I miss a workout, the whole week is ruined. And if I can't do 45 minutes, I won't do any. Congrats. You are officially stuck in the all or nothing mindset, aka the mindset that derails more fitness progress than literally anything else in the entire fitness industry. This includes, shocker, 75 hard. Fuck 75 hard. 30-day shred challenges, your detox diets, your no sugar ever goals, which is stupid and ridiculous, and dry January, but in an extreme self-punishing way. Your brain builds habits through frequency, not intensity. A 10-minute walk done daily is going to beat a 75-minute workout that's done twice a week. A mostly balanced diet beats a perfect diet that collapses every 14 days. Consistency beats intensity. Sustainability beats aesthetic. And gentle beats extreme. Almost every fucking time. And yes, this is me calling you out with love. This is me calling myself out with love. Your perfectionism is what is holding you back in your health and fitness. Your perfectionism is what is holding you back in your fitness goals, from your fitness dreams, whatever that looks like. Your perfectionism is holding you back. If you still are the type of person that wants to set some type of resolution or whatever that looks like, which is me, don't get me wrong, as much as I am quote unquote anti-resolution, I still make them. I do try and work on it every year and make sure that I am actively working towards setting healthier resolutions and intentions and goals. So here's 3 things that can be really, really helpful if you want to set your resolutions for January into 2026. Number 1 is your bare minimum habits. These are your non-negotiables, even on your really bad days. Examples, again, a 10-minute walk, 1 serving of something green, 5 minutes of stretching, and drink water before coffee. These things seem small, but they're not. They are what the foundation of your fitness, health, and wellness routines will be and can be built on. Number 2, make your fitness stupidly simple. Especially, this mainly goes for people if you don't consistently work out, if you fell off the last couple of years, or you've never trained properly, or whatever that looks like. Make it stupidly simple. If your routine requires 6 different pieces of equipment, 12,000 steps a day, a motivational speech, a childcare plan, and a NASA launch countdown, it's just too complicated and you're not going to stick with it long term. Stick with the foundation, like with your fundamentals, with your simple movements. And again, whether that's like an at-home workout or at the gym, whatever that looks like, make it stupidly simple so that you feel like there's no way that you can't not do it. And choose habits that make you feel good. Your brain repeats what feels rewarding to you. Strength training makes you feel powerful. Walking lowers your stress in minutes. Eating balanced meals stabilizes your mood and energy. Sleep improves quite literally anything. When your habits feel good, you'll want to keep doing them later. If you've fallen for the new year, new me trap before, don't worry. I have too. It's okay. You were never the problem. Realistically, the system is designed to make you feel behind so that you'll invest in quick fixes. It's a marketing scheme. It's a marketing tactic. But you're older this year. You're wiser. You might be a little tired. I'm a little fucking tired, but I am also ready to live a life that doesn't require a dramatic annual reboot, because that sucks. It sucks feeling like regardless of how much you did through that year, December comes around and suddenly none of it is enough. You don't need to reinvent yourself today. You need to support yourself today. You don't need a harsher plan. You need a smarter one. And you definitely don't need a new you. You need a lifestyle that lets the real you thrive. So that's all I've got for you guys. I hope you like this episode. It was a little bit longer. I hope that's okay. I just wanted to say thanks for 2025, as much as I didn't post consistently because I was sad and depressed and moving and camping and doing all this shit. But thanks for being here anyways. Thanks for continuing to listen with the odd time that I do upload an episode. And I hope you guys had a wonderful year. I hope you had a really good holiday season. And if you didn't, I see you. I feel you. I get it. Holidays suck for a lot of people. Like, holidays are fucking hard for so many different reasons. So I hope you find joy in knowing that they're basically over now that it's the first and you can just go back to enjoying your normal life, whatever that looks like. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope that January is going to be good to you. Stick around. This year, we're going to be focusing a lot on building consistency and strength and energy and confidence without the burnout and without shame and without acting like you need to be a robot for all of it, because it's not fair. So yeah, that's another episode of the Master of Nothing podcast, where I once again proved that I am a master of absolutely fucking nothing. So yeah, if you guys want to keep up with all the chaos of my life, I'll link them all below. There's my personal, the gym page, and the podcast page. If you're listening to this and you like to watch a podcast, I do post them on YouTube, so the link will be in the show notes. Thanks for listening, guys. I appreciate you all. Happy New Year's, and I'm glad you're here. Bye, guys.